Hi, I'm Cautex, and in this video, I'm going to be going over some warrior-specific tips and tricks for the Mythic Fatescribe Roh-Kalo encounter. Let's get started. I did this fight as arms using the standard build, with Warbreaker instead of collateral damage. I also took defensive stance here because of how strong it is whenever you have to do runes, but there are situations where taking Bounding Stride can be really useful. I'm currently Night Fae, and as such, I soulbound with Karain for this fight. I did this because the sheer number of adds that spawn enable you to get a pretty significant amount of uptime on first strike. For reference, on this kill, the uptime was about 20%. You're going to want to blow all of your cooldowns minus Bladestorm on pull, and then when the first Shade of Destiny spawns, you're going to want to use Sweeping Strikes on it once it gets in range. Warbreaker should be coming up a little bit before that Shade dies, and you're going to want to hold it until it does. Aside from the obvious benefit of getting to use Warbreaker on the little adds, if you were to use it on cooldown for boss damage, then you would be using it just before the Grim Portent comes out, and if you did get targeted, it would get mostly wasted. You're also only going to get 2 uses of Warbreaker in this phase, so there's really no reason not to just use it on the little adds. After using Warbreaker, this is when you should use Bladestorm. Because my guild pulls the boss away to keep us in phase 1 while we deal with the second Shade, I don't use Sweeping Strikes on that Shade, and instead I use it on the little adds to cleave over powers and dreadnoughts onto them. Your main cooldown should be coming up around the time that you're entering that first intermission. You can afford to delay them a bit here to line them up with cleaving the monstrosities, but you don't want to wait too long because you're going to need them to be back up by the time that you're doing the first Shade in phase 2. If you need to do a rune, you should still blow your cooldowns here and just blast a single monstrosity until the knockback occurs, and then you just run and go do your rune. Just like in phase 1, you should use Sweeping Strikes on the Shade once it gets in range, and around the time that the first Shade is dying in phase 2, you should have your cooldowns back up, so just blow them on the little adds and blast. Once again, I'm going to use Sweeping Strikes for the little adds on the second Shade in this phase, just like I did in phase 1. Now, if your guild is doing the phase 3 burn strategy where you just kill the boss before the runes explode, which is what my guild is doing, then you're going to want to hold on to your cooldowns when they come back up again in intermission 2. If your guild is doing the runes in phase 3, then you would want to use them during this intermission because they're likely going to be coming back up before the end of the fight. Alternatively, if you're killing the adds in the intermission 2 really quickly and you're not going to get enough value out of your cooldowns by using them there, you could use them right away in phase 3. And again, they should probably come off cooldown by the time the fight is over. If you're doing the burn strategy, then you need to hold them for Lust, which for us was right after the first set of bombs and lasers in phase 3. Now, in phase 3, even if your guild is doing the burn strategy and won't be killing the tank at it, you're still going to want to use Sweeping Strikes here because it will proc first strike, and depending on positioning, could enable the boss to get hit by extra dreadnought lines. Honestly, one of the biggest tricks of this fight is to know that Spell Reflect will deflect the application of the Twist Fate dot. On Mythic, this dot gets applied to everyone, and it does a ton of damage. With Spell Reflect, you can prevent most of the applications. I built a weak aura that will play a sound whenever Spell Reflect is off cooldown and the Twist of Fate cast starts. So that way I won't ever miss a chance to deflect the dot. This weak aura is super easy to make, but if you're feeling too lazy to make it yourself, it's also available on my Patreon. Or you could just try to find one on wago.io, because this is not some unique idea, so it really wouldn't surprise me if there's another weak aura out there that does something similar. It's also worth mentioning that you will need to use Spell Reflect before the cast completes. Even though the Twist of Fate dot is a projectile and it can take a while for it to get to you, it will not get deflected if you use Spell Reflect while the projectile was already en route. During the intermissions, there are 2 options for dealing with the Despair casts. You can either outrange it, or you can line of sight it. Outranging it will yield slightly higher DPS, as it allows you to charge back in for extra rage, but it also requires you to be much more cognizant of where the orb portals are. If you decide that you want to outrange the Despair, then you should leap out for that first one, and then for the second Despair, you should use Intervene on a ranged player, and if you get a third cast, you'll probably just want to line of sight it, but if you're spec'd into Bounding Stride, I believe it should be off cooldown in time to leap out again. And that's everything that I was able to figure out on this fight. There are almost certainly other tricks out there, so if you know of anything that I didn't mention, tell me about them in the comments. If you'd like to see this full kill in its entirety with the raid comms, as opposed to my commentary, then there is a link to that in the description, as well as a link to our raid leader's point of view for this kill if you're interested in seeing that perspective. Otherwise, as always, I encourage you to tell me why my opinions are dumb. And lastly, I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and subscribe for more.